just so everybody can join in. You can join in on live on YouTube as well, on our YouTube channel. And you can access our YouTube channel very easily through our website. Just go to Ramadan programs, and there's a quick link to YouTube channel. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to virtual Masjid Al-Farooq. Brothers and sisters, today we have a lecture program, but I just wanted to mention a few other things. We will have as usual, the Maghrib Salah being broadcast onto our YouTube channel as well, so you can watch that. Today our regular mu'adhin will be there, Brother Shawqi, inshallah, at Maghrib time. You can tune in for that. And we will have our Tilawa program once again. We're doing a little experimenting, but we are switching over our Tilawa program to YouTube as well, so you don't have to go onto Zoom, and that will be live from the masjid. The reason we did that is we were having some trouble with the Zoom sound quality. So now we have the nice sound coming, going into our sound system and then going to YouTube, inshallah. So the sound quality was amazing yesterday. We appreciate Brother Farid for helping us with that. Inshallah, the plan is to try it today, make sure, it's working good. Maybe tomorrow, and then we're going to switch over to YouTube for the Maghrib Adhan and for the daily Tilawa. Now this weekend we have lectures. One now, just want to mention the one tomorrow. We have joining us guest speaker Sheikh Rifat Muhammad. He's the president of the Canadian Council of Imams and a graduate of Al-Azhar University, and he's going to talk about the Shama'il of the Prophet, the characteristics of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Please join us 7 p.m. tomorrow. So now coming to our lecture today, alhamdulillah, we have with us once again Sheikh Abu Shahadah. I think many of you know him, but in case you're new to the program, Sheikh Abu Shahadah accepted Islam in 1991, alhamdulillah. He's also the founder of Muslim Youth Media and a number of youth organizations. And ever since then, alhamdulillah, he's been active in the da'wah and active in doing Islamic work. So he has a lot of experience with the youth. And today he's with us, alhamdulillah. His topic tonight is the mind virus. Once again, the mind virus. We have approximately, up to 8 o'clock, inshallah. Sheikh, so without further ado, I turn it over to Sheikh Abu Shahadah. Jazakum khair.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. The mind virus. The mind virus. Will the mind virus strike us? So doing some research on this, every now and then I get bored. So I actually go online and I research some old topics, some new topics, some topics that are in discussion of some of the so-called intellectual mindsets or people, what they call people in think tanks. And we came across some information that we wanted to just share with the brothers and sisters. So for the mind virus, there's actually two schools of thought. One is a very old school of thought, and that's where our lecture is going to go to later on. And the new school of thought, which is actually coming out, which actually makes a little bit more sense than the old mind virus, is which we're going to try to tackle later on. So for the new mind virus is what people are talking about. They're talking about, number one, political drama, economic uncertainty, ecological challenges, racial tension, technological deadly advancements, automation, stress, anxiety, depression, tired and being overwhelmed, fake news or non-fake news, overworked or underworked, boredom. So this is what some people are calling the new mind virus because they're finding that times are overwhelming. It is a mechanism of delusion, this mind virus, much of what is happening in their own mind or nowhere in the world at all. Check that out. Something that's happening in their mind or nowhere in the world at all. Much of their thoughts or their thinking are not even true. And as they say, that facts can check. So as for them, we find that the real truth, it helps us to detect delusions and take more control over our thinking. Because many people are lost in this new mind virus called lost in thinking. They're not staying in the moment. They have a lack of confidence. So this is the new mind virus, which is being promoted. I have some things that I agree with some of that, but we want to talk about the old mind virus, the old one. It is still being promoted. And the reason why, brothers and sisters, that we want our brothers and sisters to look into this is because, unfortunately, some of these ideologies are being promoted to our children in the universities. And it came to my attention a few years ago that two different sets of brothers, some brothers in Scarborough and some brothers in Mississauga, both were describing a Hafiz of Quran who went to university, and after some years of studying with the professor, he left Islam. Now, we thought it was all the same person, but then after having some other discussions, we found out it is two different brothers, similar backgrounds, similar names, but it's two different brothers. Both of them were Hufad of Quran. They both led the Salat at one time in the masjid. They both were, mashallah, considered people to follow. They went to university, and then they became apostates. So now let us deal with the old mind virus. This is a lot of information. It's very technical. There's going to be a lot of huge words, even some of them I had to look up. There's going to be some concepts that need to be discussed, some concepts that need to be researched, but it is very important because, unfortunately, this is still amongst us. So back in 1991, a man by the name of Richard Dawkins, he wrote an essay called Virus of the Mind, which he likened religion to a virus. So he's one of the foremost secularist atheists. And in 1991, he wrote a book called Viruses of the Mind, in which he likened religion to a virus. So there was another man who debated him, and his name was Brett Weinstein. He had a different opinion, and he said that this is not so. He claims that religions are evolutionary and they're survival, and they give adaptations which reproduce. So it's kind of technical, but inshallah ta'ala, it's extremely important because there's some great articles that have been written in refutation. And for us to understand where we are as a Muslim, we have to understand that certain ideologies are being promoted, and we're not with our children all the time. And if we don't have, brothers and sisters, some information, we'll find that many of the secularists and atheists, they're inventing concepts that are confusing our children, and our children are being affected with what is known as what we call their mind virus. So he wrote a book called The Selfish Gene, and basically he talks about what a meme is. He's actually one of the first people they credit with the word meme, and it is unit of cultural transmission. So the mind virus, the danger of not knowing what is being discussed in the secularist think tanks is dangerous for people of faith. The danger of not knowing what is being discussed in the secularist think tanks is dangerous for people of faith. We're not just talking about the Muslims, we're talking about all religions. That these people, they think that every religion, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Sikh, whether you're a Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, that all of us, we all have some sort of a virus in our mind. So let us begin. So this idea began with Richard Dawkins, the selfish gene. He wrote this book called Viruses of the Mind, which discusses what is called dual inheritance theory. Why is this important? because, like we said before, we send our children to universities. So basically, there is two things going on: the secularist ideology and the religious people's ideology. This is what's basically being put in front of our face right now. So a man by the name of Eric Kaufman, he argued back and forth with another man named Mr. Stahl about this. And they discussed, shall the religions inherit the earth? Shall the religions inherit the earth? And this is what secularists, they're actually scared of. And he argues they are afraid and terrified of a world dominated by religion. So they consider it man-made. So the atheists, they don't believe in what is known as the supernatural watcher. And we say that's Allah Rabbil Alameen. He is Alim al-Khabir. He is Shadid. He is the one who is all-knowing, all-seeing. He is all-aware. So he goes on to say, and he argues that the data has shown that people with religion, that they're more generous, they're more happier, and they're more healthier. So this is within a nutshell. Then I came across an article from Miss Sue Blackmore, and she talks about the mind virus. And she wrote this article at a conference that was held in Bristol. And she said that there was a dozen speakers there who came to present their research on the philosophical arguments, the study of philosophy, biological and adaptive and cognitive mechanisms. So she said, I spoke first, presenting the view from the memetics that religions are a byproduct and that they evolve and they spread like a virus. So she said that she sat there and she waited, and then another man came and he refuted her argument. So she said, why I no longer believe religion is a virus or religions are viruses of the mind until a few days ago when some shocking data came. And this data came with a gentleman, he went on to discuss about how people that are religious are more generous, more caring, more loving, more sharing, more sincere, and so on and so forth. So this article, you can find it, Sue Blackmore, on mind viruses. For those that would like to read it, is very interesting. And she talks about this in great detail. And then she shows that her school of thought at one time, it was refuted. So some of the words that were written in this particular set of different books that were written, we find that they use some horrible words. They use the word parasitic, bacterium, symbiotic. So as for parasitic, afraid of any religion. Also, bacterium, organisms of the parasite that indoctrinate. Also, symbiotism, involving interaction between two different organisms and close physical association. So they get very scientific here, but they're basically trying to say that religion within itself, it's a problem. It's a virus. It is growing rapidly. And that scientifically, it doesn't make any sense. Now, I have some members of my family who happen to be non-Muslim, and many of them, they say they don't believe in God, or they're agnostic. They say God is up in heaven somewhere, but he hasn't really helped me out. Life's been difficult for me. I don't know what's going on in life. If there is somebody, or if the great man up north, why does he send me some money? They sit and they complain all the time because they haven't sat and thought about it. So moving from that, we find that a lot of people, they're confused. They don't know what's going on. They have doubt. They don't know what religion really has given them, except for that religion they're always taking, they're never giving. These are some of the arguments that some of my family members over the years, they've said to me, what has God done for me? What has the community done for me? So we find that all of this stuff needs to be explained to them in a better detail, and we need to find someone eloquent enough to go and talk to every single one of them, but who has time for that? So going to the second article, which I found, which is extremely beneficial. I'm going to take some parts of that article because it's very long. And I actually tried to go to the printing shop today, but they're closed. I wanted to print it out, but I had to actually handwrite everything just to kind of get some understanding of where the mindset of some of these people are. So a guy by the name of Edward Chong, he refuted a man named Phil Stahl. And Phil Stahl, he also wrote an article entitled The Mind Viruses and the Memes. This article is part of literature of a group of what they call the free thinkers of Colorado Springs. and it's been refuted by a man by the name of Edward Chong. So Edward Chong, he goes on to say that my approach here is to list the contents of this article and to systematically analyze it, exposing the fallacious tactics that I have found within it. So you can imagine there's people that are out there that are sitting there writing articles, and they're being published by literally agents or magazines or different things, and they're being promoted out there. People read it, and then, you know, depending upon what school of thought that they're following in life, they take it, they embrace it, and that is what they, you know, they hold as law and order, that this is how it's supposed to be. So this man, he debunked this other man, and he went on to say that Stahl's article statement, he said, amongst the most powerful, this is what Stahl said, and he took this clip out and then he refutes. He goes, amongst the most powerful insidious memes are those dedicated to the spread of religious beliefs on the earth. So Stahl's article had said, amongst the most powerful and insidious memes are those dedicated to spread religions or religious beliefs on the earth. So Mr. Edwin refutes him, and he goes on to say, here we find that the first of many instances of the propagandist tactics that of planting negative thoughts by using derogatory words such as insidious. He goes, note that this word is introduced into the discussion before any subordinating arguments are come in advance. So he's showing from the very beginning that this guy here, he wrote an article and he's already insulting people of religion, and he hasn't said it. Why? Because he has propagandist tactics to try to destroy any religion and anybody who thinks about the consciousness of God or the Almighty. So he goes on to say that indeed, as we shall see, nothing in this article establishes in any rational way that the insidious nature of religious beliefs of faith. He goes, this tactic, the tactic used here is sometimes known, and these are things, brothers and sisters, we need to know. These are concepts, these are tactics, something known as poisoning the well. You can go up and look up all these different things. He goes, this is a stratagem which weaves its way throughout the article. So now this is a person who knows how to debate people on this level. And my question to the brothers and sisters is, mashallah, tabarakallah, we're producing many people who know Nahu and Sarf, many people who know fiqh, many people who know aqidah, many people who know tahfidh al-Quran, but how many of us are equipped to deal with some of these issues and to refute these people that are trying to confuse our children? It's extremely important. I have children, alhamdulillah, they all finished university or college, and my son being one who had the opportunity to go to university, and he learned, and he was a good student, and he studied what they taught him. But he said that, you know what, now that I'm older, I have my own thought process, you know, and this is what's important, brothers and sisters. So he goes on to say that one of the things that this man brings in his article over and over again, he keeps talking about the Muslims and the Christians, and how the Muslims, they behead people, and the Christians, that they burn everybody at a stake. So he's trying to say that, see, all religions, they're just bad. They're no good. That they're infectious. That all they want to do is to do bad things to people. So we're not just talking about Islam. We're talking about all religions. And they're using the propaganda by associating faith groups with offensive fallacies that are involved, using what they call hasty generalizations. So these are some of the tactics that they have been using. Here again, he goes on to say that we see multiple cases of fallacious and propagandist devices. He continues to construct what is known as a straw man argument, what they call adhuman attacks, and the poisons of the well. He keeps using them over and over by causing his opponents to view as they're delusional, having manipulated his readers. So the result of the mind virus, he calls it the parasite brain. So what a straw man is, I went and I looked it up because there's a couple different meanings of straw man. The straw man that he was referring to is a straw man is a form of an argument and an informal fallacy based on giving the impression of refuting the opponent's argument while actually refuting an argument that was not presented by the opponent. One who engages in this fallacy is said to be acting as a straw man. So going back Richard Dawkins. Many people, they know of him, they've heard of him. He has some other books that he has written. And unfortunately, our children, they go to university and sometimes they're told that they have to read this literature. And the question comes, where is the refutation of these guys? Where is the refutation of their arguments? Because if your aqidah, if your belief system isn't strong and firm, then you'll find that, unfortunately, we're finding that many of the Muslims, that they're falling apart and they're not learning the religion properly, and they don't have strong foundation because they never built a strong foundation. So we know that our belief is based upon i'tiqadan. It is based upon a strong, firm belief system. La tataghayyar wa la tatabaddal. It does not waver. It does not move. It is firm. It is solidified. But now here's the question. I was born in a Christian family, and I went to church when I was young, and I learned some aspects of the Bible when I was young, and I was sent to some different camps to learn. And then Allah, He guided me to Islam years later. And then I took it upon myself to start to purchase and to buy many books of Islam concerning the belief system of the Muslims in great detail. I probably have some books that you've never heard before. And there's more books that I want to get so I myself can understand the importance of this. So we want to talk about, why is this important? Why is this so important? Why are we talking about the mind virus? Where, or has anybody even tackled this? Well, yes, brothers and sisters, we have come across some information where one of the sheikhs from the past, rahimahullah, his name was Sheikh Ibn Baz, he wrote a very beautiful book called Al-Ghazwa Al-Fikri. Al-Ghazwa Al-Fikri, which is translated, and you can find it on net. It's called The Ideological Attack. And there's so many beautiful points that he made in that book, and I think it needs to be updated because he wrote it many years ago. He says, the Sheikh, he goes on to say, as for more serious than the military warfare, since it aims at secrecy to achieve subtle objectives initially. So he's talking about how people, they try to come into the mind, the psyche of the believer. And he says that this war takes place by the means of the social curriculums, the general education, and the media publications. That's what we're talking about right now. Publications. Our children, they're doing research, they get textbooks, they sit in front of professors, and they learn some things that, really are really beneficial. Then they learn some things where it's just, not important. Like, I really don't think it's important to study philosophy. I just like to study the philosophy of putting money in my pocket. That's more important about whether or not someone can move a rock from here to there or whatever. So we're finding, unfortunately, brothers and sisters, that this is becoming very prevalent. So the Sheikh, in his book, he brought too many adillah. And the one adillah that we want to build this foundation upon, to know, brothers and sisters, that this is nothing new. It's been happening for 1400 years. Allah Ta'ala, He says in chapter 61, verse number 8, after I say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Yuriduna liyutfihu nurullahi bi afwahihim, wallahu mutimmu nurihi walau karihal kafirun. They want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah will bring His light to perfection and make it complete, even though those who don't believe and they hate it. So where are we going with all of this, brothers and sisters? Again, now we come to our second beautiful carrot that we're going to give you today. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that this is going to happen. He said, Bada Islam ghariban wa sayudu kama bada ghariban fatuba lil ghuraba. This hadith is sahih. It is collected in the Imam Muslim book. And the Prophet went on to say that Islam, it began as something strange, and it will again return to being something strange. So give the glad tidings to those that are strange. So if you're a person who goes to the mosques frequently and you pray a lot and you don't drink alcohol, you don't chase after women, you don't gamble, you don't do lottery, which my family all the time, they say to me, well, let me give you a drink, cuz. Have a drink, cuz. I say, no, I don't drink. Oh, that's weird. Here, cuz, don't you know the lotto's 50 million today? You give me a couple dollars and, we'll put it together as a family. I said, I don't gamble. Oh, that's weird. You don't gamble? You don't like money? Or, one of my cousins said to me, "Yo, there's a beautiful girl, man. She's asking about you." And I said, "No, I like beautiful girls, but she's not my type. And I happen to be married at this time." And he's like, "Well, she's still interested in you." I said, "No, I'm not interested in her." Well, this is weird. This is weird. So we're living in a time right now that practicing our religion is strange for many people. To actually have a belief system is actually strange for many people. To be able to defend your religion is also very weird for some people, that they actually know their religion and they can explain their religion and they understand their religion and they promote their religion. Oh, this is really strange. So I myself, over the years, have had my own family members every now and then, and sometimes they say that they're joking, but I find it offensive. They have said to me, "As-salami and bacon, as-salami and bacon," instead of saying "Assalamu alaikum." They say "As-salami and bacon, as-salami and bacon." So, people, they take shots at us from time to time. And, we don't have to, answer every call. You don't have to, let them poke your buttons, as they say, or they don't let you to, if they come and they stir the pot, or they want to, get a reaction out of you. Sometimes you just don't even need to pay attention to what's going on. Also, I've been told that, since the time I was young, I started growing my beard, that you look like an old man with a beard. You won't be able to get any girls like that. You won't be able to get a job looking like that. Why do you want to look like Papa Smurf? So, like I said, it's very difficult. And our youth are facing even more backlash, more being ostracized, or people, if they're trying to practice the religion, especially in school, they're being told that you're the odd man out. So also, the question has come to my mind many times is, what are we trying to produce for the future? Are we just trying to produce just hufad of Quran only? Or are we trying to produce du'ats who have the equipment, they have the skills, they have the ability to go out and to have these discussions? Who amongst us, from amongst the Muslim, is able to actually go to the university, go to the college, go to the police station, go to the hospital, go to City Hall, go to the newspaper, go to the TV station, and actually speak elaborately and in an educated way, and to present Islam in a bite-sized way that we can get the message to the people that the Muslims have a lot of positive things to contribute to the society, and that we're not strange people, we're not bad people, we're not horrible people, we're not trying to do nothing else other than to worship Allah. And as you've seen recently, there's been some discussion about the adhan being called, which is another discussion. Some years ago, I was saying to the Muslims, years ago, also discussion of having Jumu'ah in the high schools. So me and some brothers, about 25 years ago, we established 60 brothers. All of us were new converts. We didn't have very much knowledge about Islam. We had lots to learn, and we still have lots to learn. We had actually established in more than 35 high schools across the GTA the Jumu'ah Salat. We went to a few masajid back in those days, and we seen we need some support, we need some resources, we need some classes so we can go and teach. And we were told at that time, you guys are just new Muslims. You need to go study Islam. Who told you you can go and give the khutbah at the high school? So from then to now, we've been seeing that we've been having problems with establishing the Jumu'ah, as well as many other things in the so-called secular places. So there are some places they work with us and we work with them. But the problem is why, I wonder sometimes, why is it as Muslims that we have to be all the time reactionary with our dawah as opposed to being proactive? So as for myself, I've realized that my acceptance with my family over the years, I myself have been boycotted. My father boycotted me. My uncles boycotted me. Some of my cousins, they boycotted me. Why? All because I had a different faith than them. I believed differently than them. I practiced differently than them. I smelt because I started to put on different perfumes. I dressed differently than them. So the question comes now, brothers and sisters, our children, that we brought from the Muslim countries, for many of those that came here. Now, many people now, alhamdulillah, some of the masjids, we have up to 2,000 Muslims in some of the high schools here in Mississauga. But we're finding out that only 25 people are coming for the Jummah prayer in the high school. Think about that. 2,000 Muslims going to a secular high school, and only 25 kids are coming for the Jummah prayer. I'm asking you the question, are we winning or are we losing? That means that our children have been affected somehow. So dealing with the propaganda, brothers and sisters, I myself have been watching it over the years on the newspaper, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the radio. The question is, where is the voice of the Muslim? And an articulate Muslim, someone who's more articulate than me, but I've listened to the radio, and usually who they bring on is they bring on a brother named Ahmed or Muhammad. He can barely even say his own name, and he just gets ripped to shreds, and they make him look like a buffoon, and they keep using him as the guy who they go to for any religious discussion. That has to change. We need to have people that are in the forefront, that are able to articulate and to be able to deal with this mind virus that is going on. Now, I myself, over the years, I've spent some time learning as much as I can, and I realize that our youth, they're at a critical state right now where they're looking for leadership. They're looking for people to come forward and to teach them right from wrong. And alhamdulillah, we found that there's very few masajid that actually have decent programs that are working to try to put our kids in a position for the future. For myself now, I'm almost turning 49. I have to now take the football, and if for anybody who knows American football, take the football and pass it to the running back, the new young kid that's coming up. I want him to take over. I don't want to continue to run till I'm 70 years old and to always be the guy who gets called on. No, we need youth to come forward and to be able to tackle some of these pertinent issues that are being brought to us day in and day out. So also, we've come across, brothers and sisters, as I was doing some research, as one of the guys in the article, he was talking about that the people who propagate this, that they actually have what they call a tactic book. So we're just going to go through a few of them, and it's much deeper than it really is. But what the guy said, he said that, number one, the propagandist tactics. This is dealing with the mind virus. That they plant negative thoughts. Oh, the Muslims are bad people. They're this or that. You fill it in. What you've heard through movies, through songs, through the newspapers, all the horrible names they've been saying about the Muslims. Number two, using derogative words. The Muslims are insidious, or whatever religion is insidious. Number three, they have no supporting arguments. They just make these things up without any proof. He said the using of the poisoning of the well. So the effect in the newspapers, the TV, the radio, this is what happened in my time growing up. If they wanted to do this, it was in the newspapers, it was on the TV, it was on the radio. Now we have YouTube. We can use it for positive. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have TikTok, we have Snapchat, and there's a whole bunch of other new developing things that my kids are telling me all the time. The question is where are the youth? Where are the young kids? Where are the university graduates? Where are the intelligent moms and dads that are educated, showing a positive message to Islam? So we found that the volume sometimes gets turned up and negative things are said about people of religion, or particularly our religion. And the question is, do we even have anything to amplify our voice at all? So alhamdulillah, we're blessed, mashallah, tabarakallah, and may Allah continue to guide some of the people that are working with the Muslims. They allow us to amplify the adhan all across the city, which is something which is tremendous. And we ask God to protect them and to guide them as our neighbors are. That we live now in a time that I can't even imagine that. I've been to the States before where I've heard the adhan, but now, mashallah, tabarakallah. So our message is not only to be amplified there, it's supposed to be amplified, brothers and sisters, in the written form, in the spoken form, also in the intellectual forms. Where is our message? So this broadcast, brothers and sisters, that we're finding that this negative propaganda in the broadest sense, is a technique of influencing what they call human action by the manipulation of representatives or representation that they represent the spoken, the written, the pictorial, or the musical form. So as for myself, as you see here, I'm wearing my hat here. Okay, for me, I found Islam through Muhammad Ali. I'm wearing his shirt now. I found Islam through Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I played lots of basketball. And I found Islam through the hip hop music as well as Malcolm X. So when it comes to little small things and the issue of memes we're talking about, here's my meme right here. Strictly Sunnah. That's what I'm trying to practice. A mindset that I try to follow the Sunnah in my belief system, in my fiqh, and also in purifying of my soul. So we'll find that he goes on to say that manipulation can be organized or unorganized, conscious or unconscious, politically or socially motivated. So for us as Muslims, we're trying to be good law-abiding citizens here in the land, try to just worship Allah, give our best to society, as we have some of the leading doctors, lawyers, engineers, and then just regular guys like me. You have people that drive Uber, people that are bus drivers, taxi drivers, that they're Muslim. But the question is now, is when someone asks you, what does your religion promote? What does your religion teach? What does your religion do? What does your religion think about something? Are we even equipped? Or do we got to say, well, let me go ask the imam, or I have to ask the sheikh, or I have to look it up? That's okay. If you don't know, you don't know. But for how long? I remember I asked one brother a question, and he's in his late 60s. And mashallah, tabarakallah, the brother has a very, very beautiful beard. I asked him a couple of basic questions, and the brother couldn't answer. And I said to him, Akhi, if you like, I can share with you this information. The brother said, who do you think you are to come and tell me anything? I said, Akhi, I'm your brother. I go, if you want to tell me something or teach me something, then inshallah, ad-din al-nasiha, ad-din al-nasiha, ad-din al-nasiha, qulna liman ya Rasulullah, qala lillahi, wa li kitabihi, wa li rasuli, wa immati muslimin, wa ammatihim. I told him this hadith. I said that religion and sincere advice, it is to Allah, to the book of Allah, Ilahi al-Kitabi Rasuli, and to his messenger. And sincere advice is to the imams, the leaders, the imams, and to the common folk. I said, either if you consider yourself a leader, I can advise you. And if you're a common folk, I can also advise you. So I tried to tell the brother, and what he said to me, no, you're just a new Muslim. You're just a new Muslim. I've been Muslim my whole life. I have 1,000 years of Islam. And I said, Akhi, the haq fawq al-jamir. This is a principle in the Usul al-Fiqh. Al-haq fawq al-jamir. That the truth is above everyone and anyone. As long as we can get to the haq, nadru ma'adilil haythu yadar, we follow the evidence wherever it takes us. This is what our religion teaches. We look for dalil, burhan, we look for hujjah. These are from our religion. So the brother and me, we had this discussion, and the brother said, Akhi, do you eat halal meat? I said, brother, we're talking about another religion, another aspect of our religion. Let's not talk about that right now because there's some difference of opinion. He said, no, I just want to know, how do you make your money? I said, Akhi, we're talking about one issue. Let's just deal with one issue at a time. So I find that sometimes the Muslims, they have their own mind virus. They can't stay on one subject. And if you try to show them something, they have what they call cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is that you've believed something for so long that when new information or true information comes, it's like you just have this mental breakdown, this glitch in your head, and you don't want to hear anything that person has to give you. Even if it's someone who is known to be very knowledgeable, it might take them some time to get the information in their mind. And over the years, it's been very, very frustrating for me as a new Muslim. Like I said, brothers and sisters, I'm still striving to learn. I got lots to learn. I realize the more that I study, the more that I need to learn. And we're at a time right now, brothers and sisters, it's critical. Our children, right now, we have taken our children that are in our house right now, that are probably on these devices right now, that are spending weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on their devices, and we send them to school And we hope and we pray that the same kid that we sent out the door is the same kid that we're going to get back. And now many of us, Allah has blessed us with a little bit of money. So we take our kid and we send them to, the masjid, and we hope that the masjid crew can basically make our kid into a better kid. But brothers and sisters, it takes a village to make the community work. I myself, I didn't have lots of money as a single father, and I raised 3 kids. I didn't always have the money to send my kids to go and memorize Quran. So I've met parents before, well, how much Quran has your son memorized? I said, he hasn't memorized very much, but what he has learned, he tries to put it into practice. And this is another aspect of our religion, brothers, is the Prophet ﷺ, he tried to teach us the importance of good character. Now, people come and they insult me all the time, and it's not like I can't defend myself, but I realize that there's a time and there's a place to open the mouth, because these days, if a Muslim says the wrong thing at the wrong time, unfortunately, and I've seen it, people will take a sound clip or a snippet and they'll put it and they say, see, the Muslim said this or the Muslim said that. And it's not fair. But this is the world that we're living in. We're living in these things where people, they think that the Muslims are bad people and that the Muslims have nothing to contribute. But yet we look and we see that the Muslims have contributed so much to science, so much to medicine, so much to engineering, so much to math, so much to so many different things, sports, arts. But at the same time, unfortunately, we have to try to remind the people that, well, hold on now. Yes, I know you like LeBron James. Yes, I know you like Michael Jordan. Yes, I know you like Kobe Bryant. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. And I was, saying to a couple of Muslim da'is and a couple of sheikhs, and I had this debate with them recently. And I'm trying to tell them that, for us, our dawah, it has to be dynamic. And we have to keep upgrading our thought process. So I was sitting with a few imams, and I was asking all of them, and I always do these social experiments because I want to see if there's any kind of mind viruses going on. I said to the brothers, I said, okay, tell me, who is the most famous da'i in the last 100 years, dead or alive, that you know of, who his dawah has went worldwide? Now, many of them, they kind of put themselves in a box as opposed to opening up their mind. Instead of them just saying, I don't know, they said, oh, it's got to be Ahmedida. Oh, it's got to be Dr. Zakir Naik. Oh, it's got to be Fulan or Fulan or Fulan, and they gave a bunch of names. So I opened up my phone and I said, what about this guy here? So on my phone was a picture of, you can see what my t-shirt says, Muhammad Ali. So I said to them, this is the most world-renowned, outspoken propagator of our faith in the last 100 years. He's the most world-renowned. Everybody in the world, they know Muhammad Ali. So one of the brothers, well, he wasn't a scholar. And I said, okay, nobody said he was a scholar. Well, he didn't know much Quran. Nobody said he had to know much Quran. Well, he didn't know the Arabic language. He was Muslim? Yes, he was Muslim. Did the whole world know who he was? Yes. Was he propagating Islam? Yes. So this is what we say to our brothers. If you're a Muslim taxi cab driver, if you're an Uber driver, if you're an engineer, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Where's your good character? Are you a good Muslim? Are you calling to Allah? Are you being good? Are you being a good model citizen? These are the things that are extremely important. I have a family member, believe it or not, his mother named him Muhammad after Muhammad Ali, and he's not Muslim. I have another friend who grew up, his name is Abdullah, and he is not Muslim. They are named after Muslims, Muslim actors, Muslim speakers. I myself, I took my name, Abdul Shaheed, from a hip hop guy named Ali Shaheed Muhammad from the group called Tribe Called Quest, as it was very influential in my life. And this is what we're saying is that, how people are getting the message these days, brothers and sisters, we're coming from many different walks of life. I myself, I came through a religion in my family, where one side of my family, they believe in Native American spirituality. Some of them believe in Jewish spirituality. Some believe in Baptist spirituality. Some believe in Catholic spirituality. So as a young boy growing up, do you think I was confused? Nope. I was concerned. So I started to figure out what is the best life path for myself. And I've arrived here, walillahi alhamd. So as for myself, brothers and sisters, I have many family members that unfortunately they don't know too much about Islam, because the bad Muslims have put such a bad stigma in their mind that they don't want to hear about Islam. So when I come around, they say, yeah, we know you're Muslim because you were good before, but the guy up the road, man, he robs from us all the time. Or when I take my car up the road, and to get my car fixed, he does a horrible job. Or, I don't get treated good when I go to the cafeteria because, Fatima, she just doesn't treat us nice. So these are some of the complaints that I'm getting from some of my non-Muslim family members. And, brothers and sisters, there's one thing that's so profound to me. One of my teachers before he passed away, he said one thing, man, it has struck me so hard and it has hit me so hard. He said that the haqq, the truth, is so hard to accept. It's so hard to swallow. Adding with that bad manners, bad behavior, people will never accept the truth of Islam. Imagine, the truth within itself is hard to accept. But now coupling that with bad manners is horrible. And the Prophet ﷺ, he actually said the opposite of that. He said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have not been sent except to establish and to promote the good manners and the good behavior. So, brothers and sisters, inshallah ta'ala, I'm trying my best as a Muslim. I've been Muslim now for almost 30 years now, coming up to 30 years. I'm still growing. And I ask you to continue to grow. If you think that you figured it all out or that you know it all, or nobody can pull your coat, as we say in my culture, and advise you and to try to school you to the happenings, as we say in our culture, I'm trying to teach you something. No, brothers and sisters, we all can share different things. I have brothers all the time. They send me DMs and they send me WhatsApp messages and they advise me, bro, you should have said this, you should have said that, don't do this, don't do that. We need brothers and sisters who care about one another and that we advise one another. Yes, the truth is definitely, no doubt, a bitter pill to swallow. So, my dear brothers and sisters, as you know that, we're coming now to the second week of Ramadan, and inshallah ta'ala, next Jummah will be the third Jummah. I myself have dedicated a portion of my time to read tafsir during this month. And since that has happened, I'm trying my best to declutter my life with all the other stuff that are viruses: noise virus, pollution virus, stress virus, garbage virus, dirt in the house virus, and get rid of it all so I can just concentrate and open up my mind to the recitation of Quran with the tafsir, also to some Islamic lectures, also to trying to help those people that need some help, and I can actually help them, whether if it's just me, bringing some water to a family, which is a small action that hopefully Allah, he'll accept that, or to go and to help some of these masajid, like our masjid right here. Our masjid, they need support. Masjid Farooq is one of the beacons in the city. It needs support, brothers and sisters. The masjid is only as strong as the community is strong. If the community is not strong, the masjid won't be strong. So for many years, brothers and sisters, I myself have been working with these brothers over here, and they love me and I love them. And inshallah ta'ala, we're doing our best to work together to try to educate the Muslims a little bit at a time. Let us rewind. Don't get your mind destroyed by the mind virus. Wa akhira dawana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. We leave the next 10 minutes bi'Illahi ta'ala for Q&A if possible. Inshallah ta'ala, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send these articles to the brothers at the masjid. And if anybody would like to get a copy of those articles, which I was referring to earlier, I said them in the lecture, then you can get it and you can read it and you can see how deep it really goes. and how much interest you should put into it, knowing that if you have children that are going to go into university, that they have some information that there's people out there that are trying to promote the negative mind virus. Now,
brothers and sisters, if there's any comments or questions, you can enter them into the chat. We have a few minutes for that, inshallah.
Okay, so there's something here where it goes, I just watched a video today of someone trying to criticize Mufti Make for using tools like Snapchat. He handled it well. I used to listen to another sheikh, but I realized that the world he was building me to was only available within a strict Muslim country where the laws support this. Thus, I think one of our problems is being judgmental. While the influences from the entertainment or sports are so powerful, I strongly support what you stated, that the youth of today face so many competition, especially from the social media. And I look back to my time as a youth. Thus, we need you on these platforms to engage and redirect us to also remind us. Well, just one point, you need more than me. I mean, mashallah, I'm a good guy to have on your team, but we need more than me, brothers and sisters. We need a team of people to be able to sit and work together and to try to navigate. This social media is constantly changing. I myself was on Facebook the other day and they asked me, do I want to change this format and change that format? So I changed it and I asked my son, well, where did this go? How do you work it? So I myself, I don't know how to use this technology. I'm trying to use it. And then there's people who they don't want to use this technology at all. And then when you tell them, hey man, why don't you start now? They say, nope, don't want to turn it. Don't even want to try it. So this technology keeps evolving. We need to work with our youth, show them our tradition. This is the really important point I want everybody to take away from this. We want to keep our traditions and we want to use the technology to put them together. So, you know, there's something called TNT. We know what that means. It's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. TNT can be like dynamite. So when we use our traditions with the technology, brothers and sisters, in the good part, I'm talking about propagating the religion, that inshallah ta'ala, our youth could be in the forefront in trying to teach people the right understanding of Islam. After Islam, al-Hanafiyat al-Samha, the Prophet said, he said that the best form of Islam is the religion that is tolerant. After Islam, al-Hanafiyat al-Samha. Also, he also mentioned, brothers and sisters, that our religion, it is something that is easy for us to practice. In the Deen al-Yusr, this religion is easy to practice. But the question is did we really even study the religion? I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, sometimes, you know, I bump into Muslims and I ask them, you know, what is Islam? And they don't know. I ask people in their 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old. What is Islam? What is the scholastic definition of Islam? And they don't know. And I say, okay, well, brother, do you know? I say, yes, I know. I studied it. Al-Islamu huwa al-istislamu lillahi bit-tawheed وإنقياد لطاعته وخلوص من الشرك وأهله الإيمان قول باللسان والتصديق بالقلب وعمل بالجوارح الإحسان أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. These are the different three maratib of Islam. We have to study this stuff. It's from our religion. Yes, we memorize Quran. Yes, we memorize dhikr. Yes, we memorize some. There's so much stuff to practice and memorize. The question is it going to be put in a level that we can teach over a period of time? A curriculum. Where is our curriculum to teach and to help people progress? I myself, I just finished Ajrumiyah for the 10th time, and I still don't understand it. Ma afham shayan, because it's big. But if my teacher told me, if you continue to keep knocking down the blocks, you keep going up the steps, sooner or later, some of it might get into the mind that has the virus in it. And it has the mind of all the music that I grew up listening to, brothers and sisters. I'm still trying to get that out of my head. I'll be driving down the road and I hear somebody play a song from the old days, and those lyrics are still, unfortunately, in my head. I need more Quran in my head. Now, tafaddal. Next question. Any questions? What's your advice for those of us who came from conservative societies and live here? Okay, well, I mean, this is a big problem. I know a brother who's very, very strict with his family. And I tried to tell the brother that you have to find some time, man, for your family to be able to, breathe. I mean, the brother does all the grocery shopping. The brother does all the shopping. He doesn't want his wife to go out anywhere. And then unfortunately, we find out that, some of the sisters, they're having some mental lapses and some mental breakdowns and some depression. Hey, go with your wife and go shopping with her. Go to the grocery store with her. If you're afraid, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. You come from the land of the Muslims. Now you're not in the land of the Muslims anymore. Okay, you still want to practice Islam. The religion is very flexible. It's very wide. It's not very narrow. Dayak. It's not dayak. It's wasi'. There is some flexibility in our religion. There is some, many people, they just say it's halal and haram. No, there's halal, haram, mubah, mustahab, makruh. Like, it's shades of gray in there. It's not just a one stamp and that's it. I have a lot of discussions with some brothers and they never studied usul fiqh. So I'm constantly giving them different principles. And I say, look, I just learned this recently. And they're like, there's something like that? I say, yes, there's something like that. They go, we just thought that you just memorize Quran and that's it. So no, well, with the stuff that we're studying, it's coming from the Quran. The scholars, they deduce these rulings from the Quran. So brothers and sisters, we need to realize that the society that we live in, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons. From amongst the pros is that I can go and I can drink Tim Hortons, alhamdulillah, or I can go to another beautiful place. Other places in the world, you can't get anything. You can't get water. You can't get rice. You can't get anything. Right now, some of the brothers that I know, they're in other countries. They can't even leave their house hardly, except for just to go to the quick store and come right back. If I want to drive up the road to the pizza place, or if I want to drive to the chicken joint, or if I want to drive up the road and get a burger, I can do that. They can't do that. So, being conservative, brothers and sisters, we got to realize that our religion, we're conservative within ourselves, but where the religion gives us some flexibility here and there, then inshallah ta'ala, we shouldn't be so hard, because we have to understand that our religion, it's based on kitab and sunnah. And if there is some leeway, then inshallah ta'ala, we give the leeway with that. As I said in a lecture a few weeks ago, that the Prophet ﷺ, if he had two matters, he would always choose the easier of the two as long as it was halal. And if there was two haram matters, he would choose the lesser of the evil, brothers and sisters. So our religion in a conservative time can still be practiced. Some brothers, they believe that by me wearing a hat like this, that I've left Islam just by wearing a hat. And I asked them, Kul hatu burhanakum in kuntum la sadiqin, produce your proof if you're speaking the truth. Now, next question. I think we only have 3 minutes left. No. Any more questions?
Okay. Sorry. Yes, brothers and sisters. So I think that's there's no more comments or questions. So at this point, I want to appreciate Sheikh Abu Shahadah, Jazakum Khairan Sheikh, for that informative, deep lecture, and particularly enjoy your personal experiences. I enjoy hearing that a lot. So Jazakum Khairan for giving your time as well. And brothers and sisters, Jazakum Khairan for joining us and for your time and attention. So we'll stop now.